Hi all, this is BRR. Welcome to BRR Knowledge Hub. So in this video session, we'll talk about the C4 model. So this is a architecture model defined by the Simon Brown, who started teaching people about software architecture while working as a software developer or architect in London. So the C4 model was created as a way to help software development team to describe and communicate software architecture both during upfront design sessions. Okay, so here in the C4 model, we have 4 steps here: context, containers, components, and classes, where it starts from C: context, containers, components, classes. The C4 model consists of a hierarchical set of software architecture diagrams for these context and containers, components, and code. And this hierarchy of the C4 diagram provides a different level of abstraction, each of which is relevant to a different audience. So to avoid ambiguity in your diagrams by including a sufficient amount of text as well as the key for the notation we are going to use. So generally this software architecture defines the structuring of a solution that meets the technical and operational requirements generally. So and also this software architecture optimizes attributes involving a series of decisions such as security, performance, and manageability, which are non-functional items when it comes to an architecture. So when it comes to design perspective, the software design is a process of transform user requirements into some suitable form, which helps the programmers in software coding and implementation of the requirement asked by the vendor or the client customers. So based on all these stuff, this C4 model was invented, which creates the way of helping software development team to describe everything before they get into the development. So because this diagrams steps, once you understand, it is very easy for starting implementation. So although the primarily aimed at software architects and developers, the C4 model provides a way for software development teams so efficiently and effectively communicating their software architecture at different level of detail, telling different stories to different type of audience when doing upfront design or retrospectively documenting an existing code base. So as I told you, the C4 model is an abstraction first approach to diagramming the software architecture based upon abstractions that reflect how software architects and developers think about how to start to build a software. So in order to create these maps of your, the code and implementation, we first need to common set of abstractions to create, the different kind of diagrams. The C4 model, which has like context, containers, component, classes. So this is a visualizing the hierarchy of abstraction. So just creating with these 4 steps. So when it comes to first one, system context, the system context diagram is a good starting point of requirement diagram and documentation for the respective software system. This is high level picture. That means big picture. The diagram shows the system as a box in the center, surrounded by the users and the other systems that it interacts with it. So it won't specifies the implementation and the components and the technology, etc., etc. It only defines the big picture where it has only system configuration and the users which are interacting with the system and other applications if the system is interacting, if any, from the third party. Okay, and coming to the containers level. So once you understand this system context, because the detail is not important here actually, as this is zoomed out of the showing of a big picture of the system landscape. So the focus should be on the people like actors, roles, personas, etc., and software systems rather than the technology which the developers are using to develop the system. Okay, when it comes to containers, so once this context is understand how system fits in the overall IT environment, so the next step is zoom into the system boundary with container diagram. So overall shape of the architecture and technology choice here we are defining in this second level. Here we are just defining the system and the users and any other third-party application. This is the overall picture, or outer level picture. When it comes to containers, we are just getting into the next level, that is the shape of architecture and the technology we are specifying here. So container is something like a server-side web application, a single-page application, desktop application, or mobile application, something, etc., etc. Essentially, this container is a separately deployable unit. So this is decoupled components, so we can deploy it on independent servers. So the container diagram shows the high-level shape of software architecture and how responsibilities are distributed across it. Okay. When it comes to the component here, third one, this component diagram shows how a container is made up of number of components, what each of those components are, and their responsibilities and the technology and the development implementation details. So this component basically defines the the interactions of components. Let's say like class one, class two, how these two are interacting with the different roles, and how it was developed and what the technology they have been used to develop these components, kind of things we're just defining in the components. And coming to the the code, so here uh, optional level of details is often available. So and demand from tooling such as environments, integrated development environments, so automatically generate using some tooling system, and should consider showing only those attributes and methods that allow you to tell the story. So this level of details is not recommended for anything but the most important complex components. They're just defining it here. So in this context, if you look at this context here, the fourth one is classes, or you can say it is a code part where we are actually defining it here, and the pattern implementation details we are defining it here. So actual development we are taking place, we are considering here in the fourth step. So on demand, so we'll be defining the code part here using some tooling systems. So ideally, this context would be automatically generated using some tools like UML modeling tool or IDs in Visual Studio kind of thing. So where we completely defining the code here and build the system. Okay, so these four are the main areas where the C4 model is defining, like context, container, component, and code or classes. So based on this, we'll start developing or implementing the required software. So the prime aim of this modeling is, provides a way for software development team efficiently, effectively communicate their software architecture at different level of details, telling different stories to different type of audience. So I'm just when requirement comes to development team, we are first defining the context here, like how the system is going to be uh, defined in the future or coming days, and how many users can interact and how they will interact, and what are all the dependent applications we need to adopt in this software. All this stuff in the bigger picture we are defining it here. And second level we'll defining the technology and the architecture what it is adopting to start developing. And coming to the components, we're just defining the logical components and the relationship and the interactions, how it is going to happen. And the last one is, this is optional level, because this is the place where the developer starts defining the code and developing the application, so that the application is going to be uh, deployed and developed here. So if we define these levels of details, then the development team will efficiently, effectively understand the requirement at different levels with the different stories we are defining based on the C4 model, so that it is very easy to start developing any software. So I hope you understand what is the C4 model and what are the benefits of defining in different levels of areas about the requirement. Once you customer or the the development team gets the requirement from the customers, clients, and the main purpose of the C4 model and the advantages of the C4 model. Thank you. Thanks for listening to this video. Please subscribe this YouTube channel for more videos on this different technologies.